I'm curious, like, how do you define masculinity? I was getting a bit resentful, and I wanted to quit.
50 girls on this screen, or guys.
Like literally right now, I am scared.
What are our roles as men and women? Do we have roles?
I basically had decided I'm quitting the entertainment dreams.
Nihilism, meaninglessness, social media, dating apps.
I'm like, no, I'm pouring into everybody's kids, and I can't have my own.
I think I can see the world from here. I think I can see the world from this dark bed. I'm gonna make the world appear, and I'm gonna see the blue skies above me, and I'm gonna touch the greenest grass, and I'm gonna feel the wind upon my skin from this air-conditioned flat, from this air-conditioned flat.
Hello, good people, and welcome to the Chasing Kairos podcast, where we have fun helping each other live purpose-driven lives.
That's right.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. I'm your host and proud girl dad, Neko Parham.
Hi, Daddy.
That's my baby girl.
Yep.
I'm sitting here with
Yeah.
my fellas, my bros, my brothers from another mother, Max and Caleb.
Yo,
Yeah.
what's up?
How's
Here
it
we are
going
again.
today? How we doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Man. Ready to rock and roll,
Yep,
man.
yep.
It's been a lot going on in this good life.
Yep.
Right?
Staying busy.
Yeah. What's been happening with y'all off camera?
Yeah, we're always grinding. We're working on some cool projects.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
Always writing
Working
music.
on some music.
Yep.
Yep.
We got some really good stuff
Yeah.
coming up,
Yep.
you know, in the next few episodes for certain. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
You know, the folks that we're going to be sharing with our family out there. And I'm super excited because I want to just like bleh, give it all away, but
I know.
You got to keep tuning in. You got to keep hanging out with us to get all that good stuff. But anyway, so before we dive into this thing, we always like to start with the segment, Give Them Their Flowers.
Yep, flower
right?
time.
Yeah, it's flower time, where we just, you know, shout out the person that has kind of impacted, touched us in a special way, and we want to let them know today. Caleb, take it away, man.
Let's run it. Mine is a very special person to me. My favorite artist in the world, John Mayer. John, I hope you're looking at this. I've been listening to his song Born and Raised on repeat, and the opening lyric is, "Now and then I pace my place. I can't retrace how I got here." Ooh. And I just think that speaks to what we're doing right here. Ooh. How did we get here? You know? What are those Kairos moments that got us where we are today? So, yeah, I remember 10 years ago I heard my first John Mayer song. It was 2014, so I guess 11 years ago. And I was going to be an extra on the set of The Fifth Wave. Remember that?
Yep. One of our first jobs on set.
Yes. Yeah, I was 14, and I heard the song Heartbreak Warfare, and I was like, all right, this is my new favorite artist of all time. And I've been listening to him ever since. John represents my dream. Connect with people even if you don't meet them.
I love
which,
it. I
he
love
connected
that.
with me. So, Mr. Mayor, if you're listening, I love you. Thank you. Keep being vulnerable with people.
Hey, my favorite John Mayer album is that Continuum.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's one of the greatest of all time.
Always
Fire.
hits.
Yes.
Fire.
Gravity.
Gravity.
So
Woo!
good. So good.
I love that. Y'all should try to reach out to him and try to remake that song, man.
Yeah. Hey.
Or team up.
Get him on
Yeah,
the pod.
we need to.
I'm gonna give my flowers to we're brothers. We don't have this story of parents who weren't supportive. So a lot of people have that. Artists who go into the artistic industries, they have to deal with the sort of added obstacle of they're not going the traditional path.
Right.
You sometimes have to convince your parents that what you're doing is worth doing and
Right.
makes sense. We didn't really have that story. We're an artistic family, and I'm grateful for the fact that our parents were always supportive of us, reasonably and with wisdom, pursuing our dreams.
Yeah. It matters.
I'm gonna single out my mom. I'm gonna give her the flowers because she's always supported our artistic endeavors, and she has one right now. She just released a children's book,
Wow.
second one in a series.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have mom at some point.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we
Let's do
should.
I love that.
So I just want to shout that out. It's called Maybe I'll Be a Rock Star.
That's
so
great.
Yeah.
everyone go get that book.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Enjoy
Yeah.
your flowers, Mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mama Hall, we love you. For me, my flower given today goes to this beauty right here. This is the love of my life. My daughter, she's 7 years old now. She is my everything, as you guys know, as the world out there will get to know. She is my why.
Yeah.
Why I do what I do. You know what I mean? All the various ventures that we're doing together and the stuff that God has blessed us to, to put out into this world as impact work. Like, she's my reason why. Because I wanna leave a slightly better world for her.
Yeah.
As I get older and when I'm no longer here physically, for her. But she's such an inspiration. Such an inspiration. No matter what I'm creating, like, she's at the forefront of my mind, and she's given me so much. She's given me like just a new lease on trusting in mankind. So shout out to you, my sweet girl, Amaya Miracle Grace. I love you so much.
Shout out Amaya.
Yes.
Which philosopher said, if you have a why, you can withstand any how?
Wow.
Look that up.
like
Is
that.
that Nietzsche or something? But that
Nietzsche, yeah,
she's
I
your
love
why.
that. That's incredible. There's something that's been on my heart, lately, that I feel like I really need the world, our family out there, to really think about, tap into, and understand the importance of what I'm about to say. And it all aligns with purpose and those Kairos moments that lead us up to, to where we are, right? I've been thinking about for my own life, like when did it start for me? Like the thing that made me like tick, right? That thing that's like, you go to bed thinking about it. You wake up in the morning thinking about it, right? And you can't get away from it. That's that thing that's tapping at you about purpose. And we can't just like blow it off like, it's just a cool, good little thought I was having about something. No, entertain the good thoughts.
Yeah.
That's half the battle. We entertain all the negative and bad, unhealthy thoughts. But entertaining the good thoughts, the possibilities, they help us to understand that we're really surrounded by love and great opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? So what I want to pose to you guys, as well as our family out there, is, do you remember, or what was the moment for you when something started to tick and you couldn't shake it, and it put you on that pathway to pretty much where we are now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're 10 years into knowing each other. You know what I'm saying? So what is that? What is that memory of that for you?
I remember when I was like probably 7, my dad started showing me Beatles songs. And I would go to sleep listening to him at night on a CD player.
Wow.
That's got to be one of the early moments where it started to tick subconsciously. Like,
Sure.
what's going on with this music?
Yeah.
This is different. This is like,
Yeah. And he gave you the good stuff.
yeah, he gave me the good stuff. They're going to the major 7.
Ah.
No, I wasn't thinking about that, but I was thinking, I like this. And then, of course, that translates into storytelling, into writing, into acting. It's all the same thing for me. Showing someone a vision of the world that's easy to digest because it's entertaining. But it's like giving somebody
Copy that.
medicine, but coating it with candy.
Yeah.
That's what art does.
Absolutely.
You're giving people truth, but you're coating it in entertainment.
Yeah.
So it's fun. That's the idea I got obsessed with around 13, 14 years old. And I've been obsessed with it ever since. That's what keeps me going. That's what gets me up in the morning.
That's great. Before you run it, Caleb, real quick. I love that you said you got obsessed with it, Max, because that's a word that sometimes takes, it takes a bad tone for people, like, oh, obsessed. But I don't know if you guys have ever read Steve Jobs' book, right? He talks about obsession in the book, right? About how, important it was for him to find this thing, again, it makes you tick, and realize like, oh, there's a need for this thing out there. And he grew this passion for it. And he obsessed over it until it came to fruition. It's why we have Apple now. It's why we walk around with these wonderful toys,
a watch
in our pockets, on our wrists, right? All of that stuff, because he obsessed over it. So when I read that, I kind of took that and ran with it, literally, because it made me see like, no, obsession can be a healthy thing. Yeah. When channeled the right way.
I've always growing up, I always felt bad obsessing over earthly things in general. Maybe it's because I'm a pastor's kid. I felt like I shouldn't be thinking about what's going on earth, but we're supposed to care about what we're doing while we're on earth.
Absolutely.
What makes me tick, what I realized from a young age, is connecting with other people and hearing other people, listening to other people.
Dig that.
I know for me, I've realized this as I continue to get older, the more I obsess about myself, the more anxious I get, the more unhappy I get, the more I freak out. I'm like, what's going on in here? So I lean on this desire to hear what's going on in other people's lives. And I've recently learned how to put that into my art and make that a motivation of my art. If you can make it about giving someone else a place to relate to something or put their emotions somewhere, that's just powerful to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always just been an obsession of, I want to sit here and just listen to this person talk for like an hour of what's going on in their heart, in their mind, whatever.
Totally.
So, yeah.
I get it. I love that. That totally resonates with me.
Yeah.
To the core, man. Today's topic, it's a simple little phrase that we've all probably heard since we were in our diapers. Don't quit. Right? Don't quit. What comes to mind for you guys when you think about that simple little phrase, like don't quit? How does that resonate with you personally?
As any starving artist knows, you...
Striving but starving.
Striving but starving. There are a lot of reasons to quit. I've had a lot of moments where, not that I was tempted to quit, but where I saw, if I was a different person, if I wasn't as obsessed as I am, I would have quit by now, because it hasn't happened the way I pictured it.
Of course.
I am starving.
We have food in the studio, man.
You're right, yeah. I should have just said something. My bad.
That is interesting, like, the idea of quitting the art. If we stop pursuing our dream in the arts, it would be quitting. But to everyone else, it would be starting your career. Like a lot of people, if I say I'm done acting, I'm done doing music, they'd be like, okay, good, you can start doing your career now.
Of course.
So it's just weird. To us, it's quitting. To most people, it's starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I get that. So don't quit for me it's a very personal thing, right? Because for me, it automatically makes me think of like I'm giving up on something or someone, right? And I want to just talk to our family real quick about that, right? You may be experiencing something right now where you feel like this is too much. You're going through HE double hockey sticks in life, pain, traumas, all sorts of things just continuing to be thrown your way, right? But what if I told you on the other side of all of that hell, all of that trauma, is actually your destiny, is actually your purpose? That's why something as simple as us being able to hear, don't quit, it matters. Because you matter, right? You matter. we know that you matter because you are going through hell. Think about that, right? Think about that. It's so easy to quit and give up when things get rough. When that terrain gets rocky, we bail. We want to bail. But I want us to start framing that thought, that feeling from a place of, think about a tree, right? Think about a tree. I have to read this. I have to read this really quick. I read it last night. Brother Myron Golden. He's my undercover virtual mentor. Never met the guy, but I love him.
Yeah.
I love. He speaks volumes to me. But he said this. He said, "Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant in it, that's what grows." Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant in it, that's what grows. And it made me start to think about the life of a tree, right? Plant it. Now, in life, as humans, we see it as pain, as hell, trauma, whatever it is. But think about that seed of that tree beneath the soil. Dark, gloomy. But all of the life that is to become is happening. It's the process of it becoming this amazing thing that's going to live for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? That's like art. Art, if you do it right, if you plant those seeds right, be okay with the darkness. Be okay with the seasons of, I feel like running. I feel like giving up on this. I can't. I gotta quit. No, don't quit. That is the biggest message I want to give to you guys because I love you, and to you guys because I love y'all. Don't quit. You matter. We have to figure out ways to keep going. We live in a society now where resilience is a word that's just like, yeah, nobody cares. That's rough. On to the next thing. And the next thing. That's rough. On to the next thing. And it's this cycle of quitting. They literally had, I saw this, I laughed, literally like I just did. They had, a couple of months ago, I was driving into the city, and they were talking about, it was National Quitters Day.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Caleb, I was literally like, who comes up with these things?
Crazy.
Why are
We're
we
celebrating that?
embracing and celebrating quitting?
Yeah. Crazy.
Like, I get it. If you're going to quit things that maybe that's en route to kill you, you know, no judgment on smoking, no judgment on heavy drinking, but to those things that can kill us. And there are other things besides substances that can kill us.
Yes.
One being the way we think.
Yeah. That reminds me of something I was thinking of yesterday. We talk a lot about reframing past trauma, but if we can get to a place where we're reframing present trauma, that makes the reframing of the past stuff a lot easier.
Absolutely.
And it's what you're talking about. You're training your brain to think a certain way, and you're controlling your subconscious, controlling what thoughts your subconscious is presenting you.
Absolutely. And that training speaks to a word that we also lack in society sometimes, which is consistency.
Yeah.
You know, being consistent about the thoughts that we have, understanding that we actually have a little bit more power than we think about the things we're thinking, right? Because sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, sometimes a thought will come into my mind and I know immediately, like, this is not healthy, but I'll entertain it. But what if? And we know that's the great artist word right there. We create masterpieces from what if. You know what I'm saying? But consistency is huge. Like, consistency is literally the bridge to success. The lack of it is also the burning of that bridge to success, right? So we have to be careful about what we allow happening, because we can be consistent at negativity, right? It has equal power as being consistent at things that are healthy for us, right? So with you guys, right? When you think about the idea of not giving up, of not quitting, how does that, like, how do you really relate to that? Like, is there a point in your life that you can think of where, had you given up, even though you considered it, Max just kind of spoke to it a second ago, but had you given up, there would be no us meeting, you know what I'm saying? And doing what we do together, building an amazing production company, Birth Mob Media together.
Yep.
You know, creating this platform to help our family out there, and not just our family out there, but to help us. It helps us grow, you know, too. So what is it for you, the story that you can think of for yourself, that like, that was a possible moment that I could have quit and I really considered it?
I literally had that moment last year in whatever month is before November. October? Yeah.
It usually is. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. Last year it might have been September, but yeah. No, October, November, that's exactly where I was. I was in the corporate world, and I had been in that world for 2 years. I had people telling me, this is where you should be. You're going to be very successful in this world. And I was applying to jobs. I was like,
sure.
Oh, looks like this is my life now. And I mean, I basically had decided I'm quitting the entertainment dreams. And luckily, I never got a single job interview. I applied to like 30 jobs. But that's where God got a hold of me, really. And he's like, all right, you tried. You thought that's what I had for you. And you did all you could to get a hold of it.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. I had no other choice but to, well, pursue him.
Copy that.
And that's what kept me from quitting. And then the story from there is just unbelievable.
You made the best choice, pursuing him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I had to just, in a way, quit on all the things I thought I shouldn't quit on. But yeah, and then here we are now. Within a month, I was plugged in here. So crazy.
I love it.
Yeah, crazy timing there. A lot of my almost giving up moments happen internally. That I'm a thinker. I'm an overthinker. Mm-hmm. I can think or overthink my way into or out of pretty much anything. That's kind of...
Caleb agrees.
Yeah, he's probably the same way. It's a curse. It's a blessing.
It's the Hall curse.
Right.
It's all
it runs in our family, I think. So I think for me, I've never really considered giving up the dream, but the why, the deeper why. There have been several moments, I think we all have these, where I could have chosen a different why. And if you give up on the why and go to something that'll send you on a detour, you're gonna face the consequences of that 5-10 years in the future. For me, the why is similar to what you said, impacting other people. It's about truth, it's about meaning, it's about transcendence, it's about grasping at, jumping for the thing that transcends all of us, the meaning of life, God.
Yeah.
The thing, however you look at it, that's deepest or highest. Mm-hmm. That's my why.
Yeah.
But when my brain starts going,
I
can convince myself that there's some other why.
Your brain was trying to talk you out of purpose.
Right. Yeah. Maybe
happens to the best of us.
Right. Maybe the why should be more selfish. Maybe it should be, I want to be known. I want to be admired. I want to be loved. I want to be liked. Mm-hmm. I've had several times where I've started going down that path internally in my own mind. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily, you don't see it from the outside, but you will in 5 years.
Absolutely.
When I start going full speed ahead down that path.
Yeah.
And I end up a totally different person, a narcissist.
Yeah.
Or living under a bridge or whatever. So that's the thing for me that I've had to really intentionally try not to give up on, is the faith, because it takes faith to strive towards the transcendent.
Absolutely.
Because you don't see it. By
Absolutely.
definition,
Yeah.
it transcends what you can see.
Yeah.
So
Dig that.
holding on to that faith, struggling not to give up on it, and I haven't, and
Yeah.
I'm glad I haven't.
And it's important, Max. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that. Like, I certainly get what you're saying. Like, you know, you said something a second ago that made me think immediately about what we do as artists. It's so easy. It's so easy, man, to get caught up in that need for validation. Right? We're artists. You know, Erykah Badu said years ago when I think it was when she first came out, she said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my sugar honey iced tea. Right? And I totally got it. Like I understood because, you know, think about it. When we put a song out, you know what I'm saying? Like it's out to the world. When we put a TV show out, you know, in my days of first starting in this industry, I was so happy but insecure about the final product when it comes out, when it hits the airways, when I'm walking the streets. You know, what are people going to say to me?
Yeah.
And it was selfish. It was, what are people going to say to me about my performance, about what they saw me project on screen for them?
Yeah.
And it was totally opposite of the things that I was thinking in my head. I never got negative anything.
Yeah.
It was the joy, thank yous,
Yeah.
you know, of that thing. But what it taught me was, man, you can't run this art thing on validation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Caleb is what you said. It's that looking towards God, seeing him. That's who you seek the validation from, right?
Yeah.
Like, God, please just tell me, show me, nudge me. Am I on the right track? Is this the right road? Right? And it's a huge thing. Even when I think about for myself, the moment. So I have moments that I wanted to just quit, right? But one in particular was, I've been teaching, as you guys know, but I've been teaching and training young actors, artists for over 25 years. And it's really been the joy and thrill of my life. But it got to a point where I'm with everybody's kids all the time. I'm getting older. I want my own kids now, right? You know, my wife and I at the time, we were trying, you know, we were trying to have kids. And we felt that sense of like God was saying no. Because we went through the unfortunate trial of miscarriage, you know, miscarrying. And it was heartbreaking, right? It was so heartbreaking because we're pregnant. Well, let me not say we're. She hated when I say that. I think women in general are like, we are not pregnant. I am pregnant and you're here to do your best to support me, right? But she was pregnant and we were so excited. We were so excited about, you know, yes, finally, Kairos, our moment to shine, our appointed time to shine as mother and father. And then to go to the doctor and no more heartbeat, right? But I got to go back to class with all of these wonderful, beautiful, amazing kids that God is allowing me to mold and shape into a great future society that will be, right? But over time, I realized like I was getting a bit resentful of teaching. And I wanted to quit. I'm like, no, I'm pouring into everybody's kids and I can't have my own, right? And I wanted out.
Wow.
I wanted out. And then God sent the blessing of Amaya, right? The blessing of Amaya, who, by the way, was a twin. Let me just throw that in there. She was a twin. So my wife and I at the time, we're thinking like, oh, God's giving us double for the loss we had. Hey,
2 for the price
come on,
of 1.
somebody, right? You know what I'm saying? Needless to say, the other child didn't make it through, right? But Amaya did. Her getting here with major complications, which I won't get into right now. But she's fine now. She's flipping tables now. Don't trip. But when she got here, it gave me a new sense of like, nah, I can't not do this thing. I love these kids. They love me. They're depending on me. I depend on them. They were helping me grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was so excited about, yes, we can do this thing now. And then COVID happened.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
Yeah, Max, you were there. COVID happened, and I'm so excited that I'm finally able to move forward because I had to split time right prior to COVID. If you remember, Max, I had to split time between being in the studio training and teaching you guys and being at the hospital. Because like I said, my daughter had complications. She had lung complications, actually. 299 days in the hospital before she went home.
Insane.
299.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that many days.
Yeah, bro. 299 days.
Wow.
But what it turned into was the greatest blessing. You know what I'm saying? Just to witness, again, a word that I used a moment ago that's lacking in our society. I got to witness the most powerful experience of what it means to be resilient through my daughter.
Yeah.
Who was there fighting and struggling just to breathe and stay alive every day. So I'm coming to the studio, for class, and I'm a little less tolerant with anybody complaining and talking about XYZ.
Yeah.
I was in my bag. Like, you have breath in your body. You can do anything. You have breath in your body. My child, my one and only, is in the hospital suffering to just breathe. Tubes, ventilator, all of this stuff, right? But then she gets home. Praise God. And I've got this juice back. I'm ready to train. Let's go. But like I said, COVID happened. And I knew that I couldn't be in the studio risking getting sick from anybody to bring home something that would challenge my child's lungs. Again, I'm faced with, do I quit? For the sake of what would be good, saving my child's life.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good thing. But at the same time, I felt like I was giving up on something. And obviously it's turned out we understand.
I wanted to ask, how necessary were those trials to the mindset that you have today? Because hearing that story, God does weird things. Well, I guess maybe God does weird things. He allows weird things.
Yes.
Things have to happen. We're on Earth.
Yes.
It's an imperfect world. But how necessary were those trials to getting to you in the headspace you're in right now?
Caleb, they were so necessary. And it speaks to what I said a while ago about being a seed planted in the dirt where it's dark and gloomy. And here's a word for you: lonely. Right? Had I not gone through that hell in my life, that was hell, but at the same time was such joy. Because it's literally, I can only imagine, it's what a woman goes through at birth. This is painful. This is not right, but it's so right because it's joy.
Wow.
At the same crossroad of pain, right? So for me, it was super necessary for me being where I am now because it really showed me that, wow, this is purpose work. All the pain you're watching, not only your wife going through, who just wanted to be mom, but no, she has to be mom. She has to be doctor. She has to be nurse, all these other things at home now, and not just be mom. It was showing me, it was preparing me for even this moment. And just a little bit of a caveat in that, I was writing a script for Warner Brothers with my best friend, who you've already have seen and met, Chris Jackson. I was in the hospital writing a script for Warner Brothers and J.J. Abrams' company, Bad Robot. That pain that I was experiencing every day, it went into the story.
I bet it did.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
it
seriously.
went into the story, but it taught me and showed me like, this pain, this hell, this trauma, it's Kairos. It's God's appointment for you, for all of us at that time, right? And what I had to do, though, Caleb, was figure out a way to reframe all of that pain, because I couldn't just live in that forever, remembering constantly like what my child was going through. You know, I remember the moments when they would come in the room and she'd have to get, blood or something. They had to put an IV in or whatever. And this is an infant. And she got so used to the process where I would watch her, and it broke my heart, but I would watch her brace herself as they were about to do what they had to do, to stick needles in her. And she would literally brace herself because she was so used to it and she knew it was to come.
Wow.
Right?
That's
But
hard.
for me, that was fuel in the form of, don't you ever forget, Neko Parham, what resilience looks like.
Yeah, she didn't quit. She didn't give up.
Right?
She didn't quit. She did not give up. And really quickly, here's another little thing about that, Max, the not giving up and the not quitting. Nurses in the hospital would tell us about parents who were also in the NICU, who were there for a couple of days with their infant just born, but they wouldn't come back. These are young parents, they would say, and it was too much for them, and they wouldn't come back
That is
to those kids. And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't fathom my child leaving Amaya there, my wife and I leaving her there to fend for herself with all of these seemingly strangers.
right.
Right? So the idea of this show today, Don't Quit, it's a deep pocketed thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But reframing it was everything. It was all about realizing that was a part of my seed planting, growing into a tree, father, podcaster, businessman, producer, all of the things. It was building that beneath that soil.
Yeah. What's sticking out to me, this is interesting, this strengthened you in so many ways and made you who you are today. And yet in the moment, you were doing it for so many other people.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing it for your daughter, doing it for God, doing it for your wife.
Absolutely.
And yet, by putting your focus on them, you're also strengthening yourself. You know, you're not just sitting there doing it for yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Isn't that's so interesting?
Absolutely. And here's a big part of the why with that, Caleb. It all goes back to faith, right? Because what I didn't mention in all of that trauma that I just explained to you at the time was there was never a day where I did not feel at peace.
Wow.
And I'm talking about, I'm not talking about that peace that you have when you know your checks are coming on time.
Right.
You know your house is gonna sell and all. No, I'm talking about that peace that truly is, that surpasses all understanding. There were days walking into the hospital where our head nurse would look at us and she just kind of shake her head, and we'd look like, what does that mean? And of course, we walk into the room and have this sense and this feeling of, is our daughter gonna make it today?
Yeah.
And my wife and I hunker down, get everybody out the room, hunker down, and we stood on either side of that bed and we prayed. It strengthened our faith, right? We understood the depths of what we were in, but the peace we had, it was so unshakable.
Yeah.
You know? And, peace is never the absence of stuff. It's never the absence of fear. It's never the absence of those human things that's like, whoa, wait a minute. This is crazy. No, but there's a sense of just like, we gonna be all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That thing. And we're here now. And like I said before, Amaya she's flipping couches now.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's in first grade now, having the time of her life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't be more proud of the resilience that she continues to make me strive for, even more so.
I think a lot of people in our generation need this.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's so tempting for us. And I can only speak to our generation. Maybe this is true of every generation, but we're especially tempted to just give in to nihilism, meaninglessness. I think it's because if there's no meaning, there are some benefits to that. If there's no meaning, if there's no purpose, we don't have to do anything. We don't have any responsibilities.
Absolutely.
We don't have any obligation. So, and I think in our generation, the other interesting thing is that we have so many options. We open our phones every morning, pretty much, every night before we sleep. We scroll on these apps,
Sure.
Social media, dating apps. The options are staggering, and I think this is unique to our generation, because we're the internet generation.
Absolutely.
The options for career paths you can choose. You might make a choice, but then you're bombarded with, but I could have chosen that. I could have done what this person's doing.
Yeah.
I could do this over there.
Yeah.
Dating.
Yeah.
You pick somebody. All right. I'm gonna try this person. but wait a second. What about this Instagram post?
Oh, the options.
Yeah. What about
All
this
50
person?
of these girls I'm looking at once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got 50 girls on this screen, or guys. I've got models on the TV screen.
Yeah.
I go on the dating app. I don't like this one. Swipe.
Yeah.
I don't like this one. Swipe.
Yeah.
So it's options, and that creates a sense of meaninglessness because there are no boundaries. Again, there's a benefit to it. You're free to do whatever you want. To quote a Bob Dylan lyric, freedom is just around the corner for you. But with truth so far gone, what good will it do? If you have freedom, but you don't have truth, meaning, purpose, what good does it do? You don't know where to go.
Dylan.
So I don't know. That was. I just threw a lot out, but maybe speak to that.
No, that's great.
How can our generation apply this stuff for ourselves?
Well, here's the thing. Options can work for our greater good, but they can crush a dream. They can crush purpose, right?
Yep.
I feel like most times options show up in the form of comparison.
Yeah.
We've solidified this thing. This is what it is. I want that. And then you scroll like, well, do I want that? We're comparing that, which we said we wanted, now to this new thing. It's a never-ending cycle. Listen, choosing a mate girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, husband, whatever it is, like, listen, if we're not more conscious as a society about that mate, that partner being a part of purpose in our lives, we're going to continue the cycle of more and more breakups, more and more divorces, more and more, things that just don't last. And we continue the cycle of what? Our very topic today, quitting.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't look for the things anymore like, God, especially your generation. I'm with you guys all the time, whether we're in class, whether we're just hanging out, and what I gather, and this is no shots fired.
Hit us with it.
Right. But
Please.
but what I do gather is that you guys don't think much about character.
Yeah.
As much as you do about, those things, those things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And character is huge. Just like in our world of acting, when we're together training, we sit and spend these amazing moments, in Nerdville building this character. Well, where does he come from? Where does she come from? Who hurt her? Who helped her? All of this stuff that we do as artists to build a character. We need to do the same thing first in our lives. The character building starts in the mirror, because it's very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to know and understand and see the value in a potential partner when you haven't even seen it in yourself yet.
Yeah.
Right? So if there's one single piece of advice I can give, to you guys out there, you guys here and out there listening, family, and the mothers and fathers who are out there listening, think about the character of yourself. Don't expect this in a woman or a man when you yourself is not showing up giving that same thing, right? Because all of it has to do with purpose. Let me tell you right now, choosing a partner, the proper partner, I should say, there's no perfect. Let me just say that. There's no perfect partner. Choosing who you're going to go through hell in life with, and good and wonderful in life with too, will destroy or bring brightness and joy and peace to your purpose. Mm-hmm. Choosing the wrong partner will destroy your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Proximity to rightness in relationship. And I'm just using those type of relationships as an example, but it's all of it. It's the friendships we have, the circles that surround us. Are they supporting purpose? Well, for those of you out there, it's easy to answer that just spontaneously. But if you don't even know what your purpose is, how in the world are you going to understand who fits into the life that you desire to live?
Yeah.
Other than them showing up cute and beautiful and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But character, it's everything. And Max, I'm glad you brought up the whole generational, part of it, because, again, I fight for you guys to find that sense of resilience that I've been able to witness in my life over the past 7 years since my daughter's been here. You guys have a sense of giving up running. If I can just be plain about it, giving up run. I've read articles even about, and I definitely want you to speak to this really quick, but I've read articles, just headlines, that said, why are more Gen Zers divorcing their parents? I'm like, what?
Wow.
You're quitting your parents? The very ones that gave you life?
Right.
I mean, our very first, if memory serves me correctly, our very first episode, I was speaking about the trauma of how I grew up with my father.
Yeah.
I would never divorce him.
Something I've been thinking about is actually taking inspiration from a sermon from church last Sunday. It was called The Pursuit of Happiness or something like that. And he was talking about how these days society says happiness is found by digging deeper into yourself, finding your own truth, finding what makes you completely different from everyone else. But I think that causes us to divorce a lot of people. No one understands me. I am who I am. I'm going to find happiness within myself.
Right.
My parents, I'm done with them. They irritated me. They don't fully understand what I am, who I'm trying to be.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
That whole thing. Part of finding your purpose is finding your people and not cutting off.
Pause. 1 second. Part of finding your purpose is finding your people. Think about what Caleb just said. Everybody out there, family who's listening, think about how powerful and impactful those words are.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
All right, and this is your send the light moment. What I want you to do is think of a friend or family member, whoever came to your mind. Whoever came to your mind, just think, because someone came to your mind. I want you to send them this question. Who are the people supporting your purpose? Community is important, so send them that question, see what they say.
So guys, since we're hanging out in the generational arena right now, right? I'm curious, how do you define masculinity?
Being 5'7". I think that's epitome of a man. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Anywhere from 5'7" to 5'9.5".
Yeah, no taller than that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think this speaks to what we were just talking about, because it's kind of hard to answer that question these days. Interestingly, which I don't think it ever was before, before our generation. Like, I think we're less sure what our roles are in every way. Mm-hmm. We're less sure what our roles are in terms of purpose, in terms of are we going to be career driven? Are we going to be family driven? What are our roles as men and women? Do we have roles? Is it just a free-for-all? We don't know anymore.
Wow. So really quick, what was taught to you? You guys are brothers in the Hall family. So what was taught to you that came out in the form of like, this is what masculinity is in our house?
Yeah.
Man.
Question. Well, I think a lot of it is you see by example.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we have strong male role models in our family, our grandfathers, our father, uncles. So you learn by seeing, and I think the men in our family have always been like get the job done type of people. Like I think of our dad's dad. He was always working on some project in the basement with a saw.
Right.
And he built a house in Maine himself that he now lives in.
Wow.
They're like in their late 80s now.
And he's still just building the house.
He's still building the house.
He'll be on the roof up there.
Yeah,
It's like, Grandpa, get off the roof.
Gotta
he's
love
like
that.
87 years old, and he's still putting stuff on the roof. So there's a little bit of that.
That's what I call like traditional masculinity.
That's pretty traditional. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. But so is there anything wrong with that?
No.
That's how it should be. No, just kidding.
No, good. And the only reason I ask that way is anything wrong with it, because I literally heard someone say a couple of days. Where was I at? I was somewhere, and I heard a woman say to her friend, she's like, "No, I want a real man." but she whispered it.
Like a secret.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
She whispered, like, I want a real man. And it made my ears like go, like, what is that? What does that actually mean?
I think that's how a lot of people feel in our generation. We can't say it out loud.
Why though? Why?
I don't know, but a lot, like, I've never talked to someone in real life who talked the way we talk publicly about these things. Like we sort of are afraid to define things when there's an audience or when we're on social media. But then when you're just hanging out with friends, we're all just like, oh yeah, that's a guy, that's a girl. We do this, we do that.
Crazy.
We want this, I want that. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So it sounds like you don't want to step on any toes, any feet.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if you say the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Like literally right now, I am scared. I'm like not exactly sure what I can
literally
say.
in this moment, I am not going to say what I really truly feel.
Right. And I think there's it's not all bad. It's like we all have masculine and feminine inside of us.
Absolutely.
There's a masculine state we can all be in, men or women. There's a feminine state we can all be in. If you, however you want to define those terms. And it's okay to be both. We all have both in us.
Absolutely.
So that's all good. It's when you get into roles, I think, is where it's a little, people are a little nervous.
Right. No, I get it. The role thing for me is strange. It's interesting because, when I was married, like I did things of that the quote unquote the traditional man wouldn't necessarily do. My dad didn't wash dishes and clean and cook and stuff that we know that are traditionally, a woman's role has been in the household. We know that's changed, and thank God it's changed. But I cooked, I cleaned, and ... because I could. It wasn't necessarily because I like, oh, let me make sure I help my wife do her duties. Like, no, they're not her duties. It was just they're household duties that need to be done, and I'm capable of doing them. So I did them. And we shared the responsibility. But the role thing can be tricky because again, it feels like. Again, it feels like everything, even in a marriage and a household, how you do things, it still goes back to kind of like a purpose thing, right? Like the purpose of this home is to function like ... Who cares who does what? Get it done, right? Like I define masculinity by, a man who's emotionally intelligent. And what I mean by emotionally intelligent is that not that he's, what we categorize as that negative word, like, you're so emotional, but someone who actually understands his emotions and who gets like, this is how I function.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to allow these emotions to impact you in a healthy way, but to yourself in a healthy way first, right? So someone who's emotionally intelligent, a man who has compassion, understand what compassion is, a man who is kind. You know what I'm saying? Like kindness is a thing, man. Like what's wrong with being out at a restaurant, being kind to whoever the server, is. Thank you, and all of that stuff, and please, and all of this. When I see that in another man, when I'm out and I'm like, good brother, good brother. I like that, kind, because you're showing your kids, the world around, what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if we necessarily need to fall into this thing of, redefining masculinity that I hear out there all the time. We got to redefine what masculinity is. I think those are qualities that were always needed. They were just more so abused. You know what I'm saying? Like if I can just toss in the the biblical factor of it. You know, the way Jesus is in the Bible, like, dude, like that's masculinity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of that good fuzzy stuff, but he was very much still what I consider like, you know, a man. He was about that business, making sure the people around him are good. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's what masculinity is. Like, you're a father in a household, husband in a household. It's that, making sure everything around is good. That's my responsibility.
And taking responsibility
Absolutely.
is a big part of masculinity. I
Yes.
think. Not blaming. I think a lot of men these days fall into that trap of, I'm going to blame all feminists.
Ugh.
I'm going to blame all women. I'm going to blame society.
For
I'm
your
just
lack.
for my own lack. And I'm just going to descend into this hyper-masculine
Exactly.
sort of thing. That's a trap. You don't want to
Totally a
fall,
trap.
and you also don't want to fall in the other trap of, it's just whatever, anything goes. I have no responsibility.
Right.
So it's a fine line. You take responsibility for yourself. You take responsibility for those around you when appropriate,
Yeah.
and you, like you said, what'd you say? Make sure everything's good. Make sure everything's in
Yeah.
place.
Make sure everybody's good.
flourishing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's certain things that, you know, that just it doesn't have to go away, because there's this sense of we don't want a woman to feel like she can't do for herself. Like, no, first of all, you want to be with a woman who's very capable of doing for herself. That's strength, that's attractive.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, you want to be able, like, no, I got this. You know, walk on this side. The traffic, the road, the cars on this side. Walk on this side, because that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Not that it's a problem. It's not that I'm saying anything to make you lesser in this moment. Like, no, it's simply me trying to walk in what I feel is my responsibility to protect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're fortunate to have a good masculine role model in our dad, in that he's a masculine guy.
Oh, yeah.
But he's an artist,
Yeah,
too. So
absolutely.
he kind of
Yeah.
has both shades, you know. I think really what masculinity is integration of everything you are, and just owning it. And
There you go.
Yeah.
being authentic and honest and transparent. So if I have a sensitive side,
That's
I'm going to
right.
let it out.
Let
I'm
it
just going to
out.
own it. I'm not going to hide it.
Yeah.
If I have a feminine side, I'm going to let it out.
Yes.
If I have a masculine side, I'm going to let that out too. And I'm going to integrate it all and own it. And I think, and this is true for women and men.
Absolutely, because we both come from both.
Right. Right.
There's no denying that.
Yeah.
You know, I get it.
Yeah. It's that authenticity. It's that integration, making a dent in the world with who you actually are.
Yeah.
And, and that to me, that's really what masculinity is for myself.
I love that, Max. I love that.
That's good. Yeah, growing up, I was always very in touch with my emotions, and people pointed that out. And I mean, until recently, it was always just, I kind of just wrote, like, I'd even tell people, oh, I'm pretty feminine, actually. I was just gotta say that. But now, like, what you're saying is well said. Like,
Yeah.
that's one way to say it, I guess. But in some ways, that's a part of masculinity.
Absolutely.
It takes being in touch with your emotions to be emotionally intelligent.
And it's the boldness. It's the
It's
putting it out
boldness,
there and
it's-
letting people see it.
Yeah.
Right. It would be the
And not
opposite
apologizing
of
for
masculine.
it.
Not apologize.
Exactly. Yeah. It'd be the opposite of masculine if you're covering it up. And I think that's what a lot of people would say masculinity is these days, is covering up the stuff that is bad.
Right.
Or you think is bad,
Bad,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And trying to be perfect or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
No, I love
that
it.
was well said. I like that.
No, it was
Thanks, bro.
great, and I think Hall brothers. Like, I think it's important to, you know, to not allow anyone to define you.
Yeah.
You know, like, nah, you don't get to define me and what this life is about for me. I'm okay with doing that for myself.
Yeah.
Me and God got a thing.
Yeah. Let him
We got an
define you.
identity thing. Like,
Yep,
like
yep.
let me rock that out. You know what I'm saying? So I can solely appreciate that. So I think it's time for us to probably wrap up here today.
All right.
Yeah.
Family, we hope that this episode has certainly been one that has fueled your hearts, fueled your thoughts, and given you a sense of wanting to be integrous about finding purpose and wanting to be intentional about thinking about what those Kairos moments have been and continue to be in your life. Again, it's those moments that are appointed for you to shine. For you to shine.
And here's a little thing we want you to remember.
You matter, and you got so much to offer to this world.
So keep chasing your Kairos, because soon it's going to be chasing you. See you next time.